Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book review. The book that I'm going to be reviewing is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And I am reading this as part of our channel's very first Roundtable Read. Several contributors and I decided to take part, and we each nominated a book that we would want everybody to read and review or discuss on this channel. When all the nominees were in, we each ranked the one that we wanted to read the most to the one that we wanted to read the least. And once the rankings were in, the top 10 went up for vote, and the one that got the most votes was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So each of us is going to be reading and then reviewing or discussing this book. To me, V.E. Schwab took on a huge landscape with the 300-year backdrop that she provided to this piece that measures the range of Addie LaRue's lifetime, which a lot of that was put into effect by a Faustian, Dorian Gray-esque deal that she makes with a spirit after dark. Addie LaRue, who was known as Adeline growing up, was born in 1691. She loves her family, she loves her parents, she loves her life in Villons-sous-Sarthe, France. But in 1714, at the age of 23, she's being forced into marriage. And she's not interested in getting married because society and her family feel that she needs to. And they're also making her marry this man named Roger, whom she does not have any attraction toward. She says, and I quote, "His skin is waxy, his blonde hair thinning, his voice like a wisp of wind. When his hand lays itself upon her arm, the grip is weak, and when he inclines his head toward hers, his breath is stale," as per page 40 of this particular copy of the book. While we get that sense of transition that there is not a genuine connection, it sounds like a lot of her problems with Roger pertain to his physical appearance, and a lot of her desires pertain to physical appearance, in particular what her ideal partner would look like. And I found that to be quite shallow, and I thought that it contributed to an immature tone within the text and an immature flow as to how things would take place. She interacts with this eccentric woman named Estelle, whom she grows to admire, and Estelle brings up the fact that she can get in touch with spirits who are willing to grant her wishes, an equivalent to answering prayers, but they're not prayers per se. And she escapes her wedding and ultimately gets into touch with a spirit whom she would name Luke. This takes place after dark, so she goes against Estelle's advice, but she's desperate. And she makes a deal. She wishes that she would be able to live a life of freedom, independence, and be able to live and experience life as long as she wishes to do so. And once she fulfills life and being able to enjoy what it has to offer, she would surrender her soul to the spirit, to which the spirit accepts that deal. However, there is a caveat, because it's Faustian and Dorian Gray-esque in nature, where, as it goes through, everybody that knew her before completely forgets who she is. It's almost as if she never existed. And the people that do come into contact with her will initially recognize her, but they'll forget who she is the moment they leave the room. If they meet up and then part ways, they'll forget her when they meet up again. Even if she sleeps with somebody, when they wake up the next morning, they'll forget who she is. And that presents a great challenge, and this takes place for 300 years, but a lot of the story also takes place 300 years later in the present day, which is 2014, in New York City, where she comes across a man named Henry Strauss, who works at a bookstore. But Henry remembers her. He does not, when they meet up, he does not forget who she is. And then we also get a sense of Henry's story, and we find out about him and his background. And I feel that with him, you could really admire that he is perfectly flawed, but at the same time likable. Because I think most people can relate to the fact that he simply just wants to be loved for whom he is, and not for interior or exterior reasons. There was a lot that this book could have offered, and this could have really delved into the experiences and adventures that Addie LaRue had throughout a 300-year span. Her travels, her encounters, her obstacles. Unfortunately, this book really falls short, because the major concentration is placed on the events of the present day and the love stories. If there were romantic opportunities that could be had, then they took them. I've seen things that took place in here in so many other works, a lot of contemporary works. As far as experiences in the past were concerned, she brings up the amazing encounters and experiences that she had in crumb-like increments. Aside from the initial events that took place after the deal was made, the day or so where she finds out about the deal, which it is more like a curse. Aside from that, the other events that take place in the past are encounters that she had with Luke, the spirit. And I don't know if it was the fact that she was just waiting for him each year to make an appearance and ask if she was ready to surrender her soul. But it sounds like there was so much that could have been touched upon, but we don't get it. And I thought that it was a huge miss. And I mean, Henry's story that was incorporated into the text was quite intriguing, but I felt that it really took away from Addie's story. And perhaps this would have benefited from being 800 pages or more, but only on the contingency that we would have be able to get a good feeling of what Addie experienced in the text. I thought that this book could have really did an outstanding job being original and taking a direction that would have fascinated and intrigued me, but I didn't feel it did that. I felt that it was more concerned with concentrating on the relationships and being able to please the romantics that happen to pick up a text and read it. I think that this was very predictable. I think that it lacked literary merit, but I think that the underlying message of what is one willing to do in order to live the life they desire, and how this is depicted allegorically, I felt that I think that it was a very interesting direction that it took, because you can apply that to what are celebrities or just about anybody that's looking to achieve fame willing to do in order to live the life that they most desire. Are they willing to go against what is traditionally viewed as good in order to fulfill what they want? Are they willing to part ways with their family or leave them behind in order to achieve what they want to achieve? Are you willing to compromise on your values in order to fulfill what you most want? And when you peel another layer away, this can also apply to the writer and their craft. What are they willing to do in order to get published and make the best out of their publishing? Are they willing to alter their text that may go completely against what they really set out to do in order to have a work that is a mass seller, garner millions of dollars, film deals? I think that the exploration of the writer and of the artist can be applied to this. And those things, and when thinking about them, are where one can find merit within this text. But nevertheless, I would discourage you from reading this book. I do not recommend this. I give this 2.5 out of 5 stars, and I'm quite and it was quite something that this is the very first time that I borrowed a book from the library in 13 years. I generally buy my books because I like to read them on my own time, but this was not a book that I owned, and because I want to be able to acquire more books, but I own a lot of books as it is, I thought that I would utilize the library a bit more and borrow books like these where I'm reading them for the group, but that would be the only reason. And it was a good decision, because once I return this, I have no interest in owning it. The other thing that I thought I would make mention to is the fact that not once, but twice, this book makes mention to the fact that there is a Swiss language when there is no Swiss language. In Switzerland, there are 4 national languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh. Romansh is the language that is most exclusively Swiss, but out of the 4, it is spoken by the least amount of people. About 40,000 people speak Romansh as of 2019. They do speak Swiss German, Swiss French, Swiss Italian the way that we speak American English in the United States. But the fact that they make mention to there being a Swiss language not once but twice is unacceptable. If you want to make mention to the fact that Addie LaRue speaks Romansh, then go ahead, then say that she speaks Romansh. And if you don't think people will know what it is, then say a language that's exclusive to Switzerland. But to say that there's a Swiss language as if it's a fact is not correct. And thinking that people will find it to be okay, it's not okay. And this is irresponsible on the people that put this together and put it forward too, because these things need to be. This isn't a created language that you would find in fantasy. That's one thing, but this is set on the backdrop of the real world, and when you do that, you have to be able to acknowledge what is a language and what is not. So that was a huge eyesore. There are a lot more issues as far as this book is concerned. The only reason that I would pick up this book in the future would be to critically examine it based off of the attributes that I found to be fascinating, such as the underlying message and peeling layers from that underlying message and being able to apply it critically. But I want to thank you for tuning into this video, and I hope that you check out the other reviews and discussions that the other contributors have for this particular book. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue was a popular book, and I'm pretty sure that many of the other contributors are going to enjoy this. I have a relatively unpopular opinion, but I stand by my opinion. I would say to look elsewhere when looking for a fascinating read. But I hope that you enjoy what you see on this channel. If you really like what you see, please support us on our Patreon, for the money that we make will allow us to provide you, the viewer, with even more great content. Thank you for tuning into this video, and for now, keep reading.